Jay, year three in the books here for yourself and for this coaching staff as a group. It certainly seems like the culture has been established of the expectations of what it takes to be a Condor and what it means to be a Condor here in this community.
Yes, I thought it was a high quality season for the organization. Lots of individuals took steps forward. And as you mentioned, I think when our staff came in a couple of years ago, we wanted to create a culture where there was an expectation for development, but also winning. And it was a special opportunity for us today with the ability, or this year with the ability to win our last game of the season. And it was a fun group to coach and fun group to help develop.
You mentioned win the last game of the season. As a coach, how much pride do you get in seeing 30, 35 guys in that dressing room around the hallways celebrating like they were after the game on Saturday?
I took a lot of pride in that. The public and our fan base, they get to see the end result, which is that we won our last game and claimed the Pacific Division title. But I got to see and have a front row seat to watch how hard these guys worked on a daily basis. And what we saw last week was very impressive, but it was the culmination of a bunch of hard work. It was the hard work on behalf of our managers putting the team together, a bunch of hard work on behalf of the players and the coaches that sweated every single day for 4.5 months in a tough environment with all the COVID protocols and everything like that. To be able to play your best hockey at the most important time of year and play deep into the month of May was something on the line. I think could make me happier as a coach to see our team succeed the way they did.
There's a lot of pieces on this team. You mentioned taking a step forward. Let's run through a couple of them. Just Stuart Skinner, first off, we'll start in the back end. He was your rock all season long.
Yeah, Stuart came down. He wasn't available right off the bat just because of some issues up in Edmonton with injuries and whatnot. So he came in, I believe it was the 4th game of our season, and he really calmed the waters for us back there. And, we asked Stuart to take a step this year. I believe last year he established himself as an American Hockey League everyday goaltender, a number 1 in this league, but we wanted him to take the step to become an elite goaltender at this level. And I believe he led the league in the most important category, which was wins.
Talk about the defensive core all season long. Unheralded was kind of a term we used going throughout the course of a season, but you see guys like Marcus Niemelainen and Vincent Desharnais really start to come to the forefront. A lot of the AHL contracts as well, too, really grew into their own this season.
Absolutely. We tried to build a game plan around the complexion of that decor. And if you look at it just from a macro point of view, that we had a bunch of long bodies, a bunch of hard-working guys, penalty kill oriented, and we just tried to keep things simple with that group on the back end and outcompete teams that we were playing against. And I think the way we built our game plan around that decor and how we made the decision on most nights to dress 7 defensemen, I think it suited our personnel, and I think it suited the way we wanted the game to be played. And at the end of the day, those defensemen were absolute warriors for us, and they really sacrificed to help get us the wins. And you mentioned guys like Niemelainen and Desharnais. They took steps in their personal development. I think on the back end, we were paced by the leadership of Ryan Stanton and Kevin Gravel. And then we got great contributions from guys like Max Gildon, who came in 7 or 8 games into the season. Michael Kesselring got 20 games in after his college career. Phil Kemp came from overseas. Yanni Caldis was with us all year. It was a fun group to be around, and like I said, absolute warriors for us.
Up front, you had a great balance, it seemed like, of guys who maybe second, third seasons needing to really continue their development. You had some of the older veterans as well, too. The balance of that group up front, how important was that moving forward for this organization? Because a lot of those guys are going to be back as well, too.
Yeah, well, I thought a few things. One, it took us a little while to find our footing and some chemistry up front. But once we slotted people in what we believed were the correct places, we saw our forwards really take off, and it was led by the McLeod, Marody, Benson line, which I thought was the most dynamic and most potent line in the Pacific Division, at least. They controlled the puck. They spent most of their shift in the other team's end, and I think that's reflective in their plus-minus numbers. Obviously, Cooper and Tyler were around the scoring lead all season long. Cooper led the league in goals scored, and Tyler just had another heck of a year. Both basically point-a-game players for our team. And so, I think they led us offensively or paced us offensively up front. And then you look at the rest of those forwards, I think it's just like our D, they were paced by our leaders. Guys like Brad Malone, Adam Cracknell, Seth Griffith, all gave us great minutes, and a lot of leadership behind the scenes that people don't get to see. And then, to see some of the next wave of players take a step, guys like Luke Esposito, who had a monster year for us, especially when Malone was out for a long time with injury, and guys like James Hamblin step forward and command his share of the ice time. I just thought we got contributions up and down the lineup. And we had different people step forward at different times, and that's what good teams need.
You mentioned a lot of those players. A lot of those guys are either under contract with the Oilers, under contract with the Condors. Again, we always like to say see the whites of their eyes, but at least they're in the organization here moving forward. How important is that, and just exciting as a coach when you hear names like Lavoie, Holloway? I mean, this is kind of the next wave, I guess, if you will, kind of coming through at least Bakersfield or Edmonton, kind of bubbling on that surface going into next season.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about for the Edmonton Oilers organization, and you never know the steps that players can take over a summertime, and that's going to be the message today as we meet with our guys is to make sure that our bellies are hungry. We're not full. We're not self-satisfied. We're going to enjoy this for a week or so or 2 weeks, and then we're going to get back to training and preparing for next season. And for a lot of these young guys, they're right on the cusp of their lifelong dream. And the players you mentioned are all exciting, but I know that they're going to come to camp in Edmonton at the middle of September with the desire to try and make the NHL Hockey Club.
Much shorter off season than last year, too. Certainly probably welcomed as a coach to get back after it after some time at the lake.
Yeah, you know what? For me, that's my personal kind of way to recharge or reset is to go spend time at our family cottage in Ontario and kind of turn off the hockey for a little bit. But as you mentioned, we played very deep right into the end of May here, and I like that because it conditions our younger players, our youngest assets, to play deep. And that's a special skill and only one that you have to go through it in order to gain that type of experience. So I thought when your team is playing important hockey deep into a season, it only sets your organization up going forward. So I think the message here today is going to be, take a little bit of time and enjoy a little bit of rest and relaxation, but get ready and get prepared because the middle of September happens quick now.